Good. So this week we're talking about why do we need to rest, and I mentioned I was quite tired yesterday, so it was a good time for me to write this. And so I just wrote down like I've got 8 points here, and I'm sure there will be many more, but just to remind us about them. Um, and also, this is more like how I feel, and there might be some other opinions, and so we can talk about this afterwards. But the first point I have is God said so. Okay, and I think we said that last week. What is rest? And it's part of the commandment, the fourth commandment. Hey, and so rest is. I think rest is more about resting from your work. So, what's your typical work in your day to day? So, say for instance, if you work in the garden the weekend, that's not for me like work. But that will differ to each one. That's more relaxing. But it is taking a break from what you do on a day to day basis. Okay, so that's my first point. God said so. And then the second one, I said, especially for us who's more in ministry and working for the church or more involved, I said, your cup needs to be filled. Okay. And so we all know that you can't give what you do not have. And so what often happens in ministry is that we start to get so busy that we're running on empty and we're just giving from a place of emptiness. And that can work for a while. I've done it. But then you get to a place where you like literally just too tired. And what happens then is then you get offended, you get angry, you get to a place where you don't have any energy. So you're not walking in the spirit anymore. You're operating out of your own, what you can say, like things, works, and things like that. And I said, if you don't get filled, you get irritated with people. Jy raak kort van draad. So that's what we say in Afrikaans. And small issues starts to be big issues. Okay, and so that's why we really need to fill ourselves. We don't want to walk around tired and offended with every second thing. We want to see people for who they are. We want to love on people. We want to be able to give more. And so God says, come to me, all who are burdened, heavy laden. Come to me, come and find rest. So for us in ministry, that's so important that we fill ourselves so that we can, in turn, give again. I just know when I have good breaks, then I operate in such a nice way because I feel energized, I feel I can run, I feel I can give. And if I'm rested more, that's the time when I want to give more. When you're tired, you're sort of like, oh no, now there's this problem again, and you get irritated much quicker. And what I find about Jesus is that he often went away. He often went away to just be with the Father. And if Jesus needed that time, it can be prayer and resting, but he needed to get away and sit with the Father and just be filled again. And I've heard one guy says he literally just, this is his opinion, but he thinks that Jesus just went to the Father and said to him, this happened today. And can you believe? And this is just so great. And did you see Peter do that? And, just share with him your day. And then it's not a big thing, Sometimes we want to make, it's such a big thing. No, it must look like this or that. But just talk to the Father. So taking that rest and just be full. So if Jesus needed that, we surely do need that. And then, of course, we know the example of Moses in the Bible, where Jethro came to him, when he was busy with all those kind of peoples and judging and so on. And this is what Jethro said to him. He said, what you are doing is not good. Moses was too busy. He said to him, what you are doing is not good. You will wear yourself out. This was his words to Moses. And I mean, this is how many thousands of years ago to a guy who was a great leader, but he couldn't do everything, and he needed to rest. And of course, we know the story, he had to hand over some things to the other people. Okay. I think I've mentioned all the things I wrote down of that one. So your cup needs to be filled. And I think especially for us, um, the thing that people don't know, and Diane last week said to me when they went to share prophetic words with the other ladies, she said she came back home and she was exhausted. And I said, yeah, welcome to walking in the Spirit and really trusting. It takes so much energy out of us. Of course, you grow in it and you learn, but what we don't realize sometimes, oh no, I just gave a short teaching, or I was just praying for these people, but it does take energy, and you do need to fall up again. Okay, good. Point number 3, your body needs to recover. So I just wrote here, imagine the Springboks never rested. Huh? They have rest days. And what's so good about that is that prevents injuries, because your body just gets too tired and then you stretch it further than you should and you get injured. So I wrote here, when I was a physio, working with people and with injuries and so on, you will tell them to rest. And so sports people generally do not listen. Okay, that's just a known fact. But pro athletes do. Okay? Because pro athletes know that if they don't rest, they're going to struggle longer with this injury and will take them longer to get back to it. Okay, so your body needs to recover. And if it doesn't recover in a proper way, then other things start to come into play. Okay, so all of you who's jogging every day, just take a rest, take a break. Your body needs it. Okay, and then number 4, I said it is good for your mental health. Okay, so to rest, why do we need to rest? It's good for your mental health. When you're tired, your defenses go down, and the lies of the enemy just penetrates easier. Okay, so then we start to believe all these things. We feel sorry for ourselves. You moan easier. I'm talking out of experience here. You feel heavy. You struggle to see how things will work out. You struggle to believe. And you feel like giving up. So if you don't take that regular rest, your mental health really takes a knock. And it's easier to fall back into patterns and things that you've been delivered from or set free, and just now you don't really have any defenses, so you just allow those things back. Okay, number 5, I said it's good for your family to rest. You can imagine if your mental health is down, if you feel irritated, how it affects the people closest to you. And I don't know if you're like me, but if I'm tired, the person who gets it first is Derek, because he's the closest to me. So I think if I'm rested or taking breaks regularly, that's a good thing for my family. And of course for my colleagues. So that's the other thing I said. Number 6, it is good for your work and your colleagues. If you're tired, the environment in which you work will be, not, if I'm moaning all the time and irritated with you, and why didn't you do this, and then it can get quite difficult to work in that circumstances. And then 2 last ones I mentioned here, number 7, is it helps you with planning. Okay, so if you're going to rest, why do you need to rest? It helps you with planning, because if you're going to take a day off, you need to plan around it. And this sort of falls in with the next point, which I said, it helps you with healthy boundaries. And I think it was Tim Keller, who I listened to a preach of him like a few weeks ago, and he said, most people do not rest because these days are performance driven. Okay, so it's they just run to the next thing because they have to do it, they have to show. And I just added to that, people pleasers. So we don't get to rest because we want to please everyone. And we want to, I find myself like, no, I can do this. And then I do it, and then I'm so tired afterwards. And I'm like, oh no, I should actually have taken the day off. I should have just said no. So yesterday I did say no to a few things. I went to my WhatsApp, I'm like, sorry, can't come, sorry, can't attend, just because we have to have that time of rest, and it's important for us. And if we don't do it, we're actually also a bit selfish, because it affects the people around us, and we don't always look at it like that. So I said, so we often do not rest because we're performance-driven, people pleasers, or we have our priorities wrong. Okay, so I just said here, who or what takes priority in your life? And so if we are performance-driven or people pleasers, then it's probably us who takes priority and how we want to please people. But sometimes we also have to just check and see, hey, you know, what is priority, what is most important, so that I can plan well and so that I can have my healthy boundaries, okay? And then just one last thing I said, yeah, not everyone responds well when you say, sorry, I cannot help, or sorry, I cannot attend, but that's where we learn to set healthy boundaries. You don't have to help everyone, and I think that's the big thing in ministry. There's always going to be a need, okay? There really is always a need. And I once heard someone said, you are part of the body, you are not the body. And so just for us to remember that you do not have to fill all the gaps or be there for everyone. We all have a part to play. We don't have to play all of it. Okay, so that's my simple 8 points of why we need to rest. I don't know.